Hello, my lovelies, and welcome to Where the Road Rises, Law, Lessons, Legacy, with me, your host, Eileen Curlin-Walsh. Our guest today is a dear friend and fellow business owner, Cathy OHara. Many of you already know OHara and Friends Salon, and those of you who don't, I am excited for you to discover this absolute treasure in your own backyard. Cathy has been in the cosmetology industry for 41 years. She started out in a small two-station salon in Blue Island and has had a fascinating career from there to that beautiful salon she owns today here in Palos Heights. She will tell us about her journey through training, teaching, motherhood, and now business ownership. In addition to running her business, Cathy is a force for good in our community. She hosts fundraisers, she supports multiple causes, and when COVID hit in 2020, she created a unique initiative to help struggling small businesses stay afloat. She is an avid networker and is skilled at harnessing both digital and print media to promote her business and her multiple causes. So welcome to one of my personal heroes, Cathy. Welcome to the show.
Welcome, thank you, and thank you for having me this morning. I'm excited to be here. You know, it's just like talking to one of my friends, you know. So just,
our pleasure, our pleasure. So let's start with how you grew up and how you got started in the beauty business. What was your interest? How did that get started?
You know, it was funny because my mom and my mother would set my grandmother's hair every Saturday night with pin curls. And then when my grandma would babysit me, I would take pins and just stick them in her hair, you know, and she said, "Oh, I look beautiful," you know. And then, I don't know, when I was about 6 or 7, they had those Barbie heads that they were selling at the local dime stores or however, and I saved my allowance money. I kept telling my mom, I want one of those Barbie heads, you know. And so I saved up some money, and then when I had enough, my mom took me down to Woolworths or Kresge's, wherever it was, and picked up the Barbie head. And I've always been interested in monkeying around with hair. I had my sister 7 years younger than I am. I was always messing around with her hair. I never cut it, but it was always like styling it and, you know, just playing around. And then when I got into high school, everybody was talking about college and where they wanted to go, and I was petrified because I had no idea of what else I could have wanted to do. But I knew I always liked playing with hair. Well, my one girlfriend, her sister was a hairdresser, and there was something about her that inspired me to get into it. So I told my mom that's what I want to do. So, you know, as soon as I graduated high school, I enrolled at Blue Island Beauty School, and my career has taken off from there.
Oh, and I bet your mother wasn't one bit surprised that that was the career path you chose from the days of the Barbie head and your grandmother's pin curls. So you first started, so you graduated from the beauty school, and then you started in that small little two-station salon.
Yes, this the long and short of it, and there's an Elsa policeman that when I was going through beauty school, I worked at a local Taco Bell. He'd come in and ask me what I was learning in school every day, you know, that he'd come in, and I'd think to myself, why do you care? But I always answered him, you know, and told him. Well, by the time I graduated, I wasn't sure where I was going to work. He came up and said to me, my sister has been in the industry for a long time. She's leaving the salon she's at to open her own place. She's looking for someone fresh out of school to mentor, because when she was fresh out of school, Russo of Italy mentored her. So she was opening a little two-station salon in Blue Island. Her and I met, and we connected right away, and I started working for her, and I was still feeling kind of inadequate, so she really pushed continuing education, and that was even before it was what you had to do to keep your license, you know. So I flew out to California, to San Francisco, and took some classes there. I went up to Minneapolis to the Aveda school, and I was intrigued with that, and I thought, oh, I would like to get my teacher's license and maybe move to Minneapolis. Well, in the meantime, I kept taking classes at Pivot Point, because when I got out of original hair school, cosmetology school, people could show me a picture and I could do it, but I wasn't sure why I was doing it. Like something just wasn't connecting. So Pivot Point at the time had the scientific approach to hair cutting, hair design, perming, black hair, skincare, everything. So I would take their classes, and then the one day they had a little ad that they had their teacher's training program, 1,000 hours. I talked to my mom about it, and I moved to the north side. I joined that program with the intent of wanting to move to Minneapolis. So I took the program, and then was going to move to Minneapolis, and then Pivot Point decided to keep me. And that's where a lot of stuff took off. I got into doing show work. I've had some of my stuff printed in books or design forum books. Met tons of friends and mentors in the industry. And just those were the hardest years. We worked hard, but as a team, I'm still friends with all those people to this day, including the owner. And we just had, great time and learned a lot and worked really hard. And then life changed. I got married, had my child. I couldn't put in as many hours. And I wanted to move back south to be closer to my parents so my son would have a relationship with family, because my whole family was down here. So came back. I got a job at Abracadabra, where I worked for 20 years and steadily built clientele. And then the area that Abracadabra was at was being tore down, and that's where the Marianos. It was on 110th and Cicero.
Yes, yes.
So at that point, I had to decide, was I going to go with Rick to this other salon? And I went and I sat in the parking lot there, and I just didn't feel it. So at that point, I kind of Googled salons for sale on the south side, and that's where it took off.
Took the leap.
Yep.
Took the leap into business ownership. And how was that transition? Was there any big surprises?
No, not really, because, the nice thing is I've had 20 years of a clientele to help support it. The whole thing is now building that salon, getting in. Again, since a lady mentored me and helped me grow, that's what I try to do with these young stylists. Hair school when I went was $1 per hour that you'd put in. So my cosmetology program was $1,500. Now it's up to $25,000.
Gracious.
So, and the statistics are every 100 students that passes by a cosmetology teacher, only 4 of them are successful after 5 years. Now, when people are putting out $25,000 for cosmetology school, I wish I could take them all in, and teach them how to make this a career, because this is how it's been, a career. But so that's my whole thing now. I get these young kids. I tell them the trials and tribulations that I've been through, that this career helps you make it through, and I don't want them to waste the money.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you started off with your small salon of your own in Alsip, and you moved into the Heights just a
Yes.
few years ago.
Yep, I'm going on 5 years in Palos Heights. We started out with 1,000 square feet, and now we're at 1,500 because I was able to add nails and skincare to it.
So tell us about that. Tell us about OHara and Friends. One, I want to know about the name, because I've never heard a salon with and Friends. So tell me what that means, and then tell us about your services, what all OHara and Friends offers.
Well, it's kind of funny. My OHara name is a married name, and my husband did pass away. And it was crazy because we were only married a short period of time, and people that came into his wake and his funeral, they were always telling me what a good friend he was to them and how he had helped them. I mean, everybody that came through the door. And these are things I didn't know because we weren't married that long. Mm-hmm. So, and just making friends and being out with the community, it just made sense to have OHara and Friends, draw it in and be something that the community looks like, oh, they must have a friendly demeanor about them, which is what we do.
Absolutely. I think it's brilliant. Now, about those services, tell our viewers what you offer.
We offer all hair services, coloring, cutting, men's, kids, special occasion hair. We offer makeup and facials and waxing and manicures, pedicures, and no-chip manicures.
And what about reflexology?
We do have a lady that we bring in. She has appointments for reflexology.
Beautiful. So let's talk about those causes, because many of us who have businesses conduct our business and then we go home at the end of the day. But you use your salon for events and you host causes and fundraisers. So tell me about that philosophy, about how you started to even think about using your space to expand beyond just the beauty services to really becoming a community hub and a force for good.
You know, my first fundraiser that I ever threw, after my husband passed away, I knew I wanted to do something for the community in his name. So the treasure chest, the pediatric oncology treasure chest, I was connected with them. I threw a big benefit at Gaelic Park, all kinds of people from, he worked at Amtrak, all my friends. We filled up a room at Gaelic Park. We had people, the food was donated, we had Irish dancers, we had an Irish band, and we made over $10,000 for the pediatric oncology treasure chest. And that was such like a good feeling, you know. So we got into, you know, I was at my first salon, not my first salon, but working with Rick, and I wanted to bring in more people by doing some kind of benefit things. We did do something for breast cancer. I had a lady who, you know, showed how to, you know, you go through mammograms and self-checks and all that. But nothing ever got really pursued more. So now when I'm out on my own, there's all these different non-for-profits that need help. And knowing that I have the kind of following that I do, I figured I could help them. So the first one we got in with was Almost Home. Yep. We used to cut hair for the homeless when I worked at Abracadabra. And then now we went around, I got some gift cards donated, we've done some haircuts for them, and got them kind of moving. We, you know, did an interview with Southland Business Network with Sarah and started getting them moving. Then the other one is Christmas Without Cancer. Those people help our local people that are families that are suffering with cancer to help, you know, help them take some of the financial burden off of them. Yeah. So we do things with them, sponsoring them. The other local one that I like, and I like local because this way you see where the money is going. You know, we build a bed, Sleep in Heavenly Peace. We actually did a bed build in the parking lot of the salon in October of 2020, and all these people came out of nowhere. The whole parking lot was filled, and we had 12 beds built in 2 hours, you know, and now 12 kids were able to benefit and get beds. You know, because it's a known fact that kids do better if they have their own space. Mm-hmm. So this way they have somewhere to do their homework and somewhere to lay their head. And, you know, people were donating bedding. Our whole little side room was full of bedding. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's amazing the things that you can do to help people. Yeah. You know? And as you said, Cathy, it's that wonderful feeling, as well as when we give away bread, it comes back buttered. So all of the people who are connected to the causes know what you are and what you do. It's such a win-win situation. You know, and I like to help other, you know, if there's any other local nonprofits out there that need some help, I'm more than willing to work things out. And then the other thing is having stuff at the salon. This way, when you first have a salon, there's a salon on every corner. What is going to make you stand out? Just because you put your shingle out there doesn't mean people are going to come. So the way with networking and helping the community, that's bringing people actually in to see what you do. Yeah, absolute win-win. I love that, Cathy. So now tell us about 2020. We were all impacted by March of 2020, and it was particularly difficult for hair salons and beauty services that were absolutely hands-on. So tell me how you responded and how you used the media platform that you had to help other businesses. Well, thank goodness I'm friends with Mark Rashid from Southland Business Network. That first day that we were told to shut down, the 21st of March, they told us it was only going to be 2 weeks. So I told my stylist, go take 2 weeks, get things done around your house. That's what I was planning on doing, just hang out, take a break, and then when we come back, it'll be good. Well, 2 weeks turned into 12 weeks. I came to work every single day and sat in the salon and thought, okay, what am I going to do? So the first thing I did was applied for a PPP loan because I wanted to make sure that my stylist would come back, so I wanted to give them some money. Plus, the bills don't stop just because the world stopped. So I had rent to pay and, utilities, all the, things that you have to do. So I got that process going. Then in the meantime, I'm on the phone every day. I had to cancel people and reschedule them. I would be on the phone for hours, and people just wanted to know how I was doing. Well, people were very kind. They were buying gift cards over the phone. They were my biggest seller of retail product was the dry shampoo that had color in it for people that were doing Zoom meetings. So I was selling it out of the mailbox at the salon, or if people lived close enough, I would take their credit card over the phone and then drop it at their house. So I was constantly busy. But then in the meantime, I was like, what can we do to get into the community and help these small business people? So the first thing I did, and stayed socially distanced, I got a hold of a few business owners in Payless and said, hey, if you come to my salon, you come in wearing a mask, I will sit separate from you. I will ask you questions. You answer the questions on how your business was prior to the shutdown, what are you doing during the shutdown, and how are we going to recover from this? And so we brought in a few local businesses. We talked about it and helped out the community and hopefully helped their business, get started again. And then I took it a step further and brought in other salons and spas, and people are like, are you crazy? That's your competition. I'm like, at that point, nobody was in competition. We each have our own client base. We all want to recover from this. So I brought them in and asked them the same question. How was business prior to your shutdown? What are you guys going to do to recover? Are you selling retail? Are people donating business cards? And I'm happy to say that the salons that I did bring in, they all did recover,
And you went out into the community too. You visited with your TV cameras.
After we came back from the shutdown, I felt comfortable enough to go, it was called Cathy Around Town, and we went in to local businesses that would have me and actually show their business and interview them to help them pick up business again. Yeah. And I also brought a local doctor in, Dr. Kevin Dolahide, just to kind of ease people's minds about how this virus was going and what we were headed in. He wasn't a TV doctor, he was a local doctor. He was a gastroenterologist, but he was connected with the hospital and talked to other doctors. So I brought him in a few times and people could do some questions and answers. And, it worked out well. I feel like it kind of took a little bit of that edge off.
I think you really did fabulously, Cathy. So philosophically, here you are now with your own business established, you have a larger location, you have a lot of stylists. What's been your greatest lesson, challenge that you know now that you didn't know when you worked for someone else's business?
I don't know. I mean, I always acted like the other salon was my own salon when I worked for somebody else. The challenge is, I think, it's trying to, mentor these kids. The whole work ethic is a whole new dynamic now. Yes. So just trying to mentor these kids, look, you have to work because nothing in life is stable. I mean, I've been divorced, I've been widowed, I've raised a child, thank God I'm married again. I've got a wonderful man, Bob, who lets me come to work and he takes care of everything at home. But nothing in life is forever. So you have to be able to support yourself. And that's one of the things I try teaching these women that work for me, and even the guys that work for me. Do not depend on anyone. You need to be self-sustaining.
I love that. Absolutely. Nothing stays the change. One of my biggest lessons when I started my business, Cathy, was I thought I just needed to be really good at my craft. And I thought that I was, and I hope that I am, and have learned something in those 20 years. But I thought being really good at my craft would make the phone ring. And of course I learned that's not the case, that your marketing is as important as your skills.
Oh, yeah.
And I have admired what a marketing expert you are. You are in so many different platforms. You're in print media. You've had your TV show. You do a lot on social media. How do you find time? How do you know what platforms to pick? And how do you know where your marketing dollars are working? How do you measure that? It's a hard question.
In the beginning, when you have nothing, you have to put money out. You have to spend money to make money. So I was in everything. I was on all the local chambers, like 6 of them, in the Beverly Review, in the Irish American News, in the Regional, in the Southtown, okay? So spending those dollars just to get your name out there. The other thing that I started out with marketing, I would get the Sunday paper and see any benefit that was going on for somebody. And whatever benefits were going on, I would call them up and I would donate gift certificates. And send them out in this way. Even if nobody came in, they were seeing, the main thing was my logo, okay? And they're seeing it. Like I would donate to have the name put on t-shirts, or in the FLA, there was a big banner up there and it said OHara and Friends Salon. So people, getting t-shirts printed. So people seeing things. And then it's funny, because Bob calls me the mayor sometimes, like when we go to the grocery store, because people just recognize, if I'll have a OHara t-shirt on or my hoodie or whatever, they're like, oh, I've heard of you. One time I was getting x-rays on my knees. Oh, I know who you are,
He calls you the mayor. You've just reminded me you're on the police commission also. Can we talk about that?
We can.
Yeah.
I was, that's kind of a funny story though. 2 years ago in December, I was getting ready to cut Jeff Reynolds' hair, who owns Nothing But Cakes in Oak Lawn. And I happened to, my phone's right behind the desk, and I saw Mayor John Ryan pop up as a text. And I'm like, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, John Ryan's calling me. And so he goes, oh, do you want to answer it? I'm like, no, it's okay, I'll give you a haircut. So then afterwards, I checked my text, and I kind of skimmed through it, and it said something about the Police and Fire Commission, blah, blah, blah. And I'm thinking, he sent this to the wrong person. And then I look at the top, it says, hi Cathy, this is John. I'm like, oh, it's not. So I reread it, and I'm thinking, why does he want a hairdresser to be part of the Police and Fire Commission? So, and Bob, because of the fact that I belong to everything, God bless Bob, he's like, you got to stop joining everything. You got to learn to say no. You need to be home sometimes, and blah, blah, blah. So I sent him this, and I was laughing. I go, look what they want me to do now. Ha ha, hard no.
Yeah.
And he sends me back a text, we'll talk about this when you get home. I'm like, oh, I said no. So I got home, and he said, I think you should do it. And I was like, what do you mean? I go, why don't you do it? And he's like, they didn't ask me. So it's an appointed position. And basically, there's 3 of us on the commission. We hire and fire police and firemen, and knock on wood, we haven't had to fire anybody.
Beautiful.
And we're kind of the buffer between the village and the police and the firemen. So we have a meeting on Monday nights. Sometimes we have special meetings to swear in firemen or policemen. We interview them. We've started interviewing them face-to-face instead of just reading their resumes. And it's been a very interesting learning experience for me.
Oh my, and we'd need another show to talk about that. But Cathy, congratulations on that, because I think that's the ultimate accolade to show how important your contribution to the community has been. So congratulations and thanks. Just a couple more questions.
Okay.
So you been with a hair salon. I'm thinking of Dolly Parton in Truvy and Steel Magnolias. We all think of a hair salon as where people tell their secrets, they trust their stylists, they know about all the divorces and all the affairs and all the babies, everything that's going on. So it is an intimate relationship. And what have you learned about us, human nature? What would you say you know about the human condition by hearing so many stories and secrets and confessions and complaints and
it's taught me to be a better person and how to handle complaints diplomatically. And it's also been kind of my college education. like when people talk about medical things, I learn about that, and then I can kind of say, well, this happened to so and so, you might want to get this checked, or you learn different things. You learn other people's philosophies. Your emotions, I always say, in this profession are up and down all day. You've got Mrs. Jones who comes in, whose husband just passed away. You're sad for her. Then you've got Julie comes in, she just got engaged over the weekend, so you're excited about that. And then you've got a child that might be sick. And then you've got prom time. And then you've got homecoming. And then you've got the holidays. So you're up and down constantly. And thank goodness I'm a person that can go up and down, but it's difficult for some people emotionally to do that.
Yeah.
And you just have to learn, and you can't take it home with you.
Yeah. And it just occurs to me, Cathy, that you see the entire cycle of life. You may even see it in one day.
Oh, we do our first haircuts and last haircuts.
Yeah. Oh, and I know that. Oh my gosh. So Cathy, I think what I want viewers is for Cathy to come back, because there's so much we didn't get to talk about, and I'm aware that our time is almost up. Last two things. Why don't you tell our audience how they can get a hold of you, where your salon's located, some contact information, and then we'll end with your motto and what it is and what it means.
All right, my salon is located at 7008 West 127th Street. I'm right next to Carey Funeral Home. My website is OHaraandFriendsSalon.com. You can get a hold of me through that. Our phone number is 708-239-1111. And our motto is, may that all who enter as guests leave as friends.
And that is your legacy.
Yes, it
Cathy,
is.
you like to say. Well, that was beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. There's more I want to talk to you. I want you to come back and visit with us again. And thank you, viewers, for watching. And if you want a great stylist right in your backyard, Cathy keeps my hair conditioned and colored and styled, and I just love her. So join us again in a few weeks for another great guest. And until then, goodbye and thank you.
Thank you.